So, first quarter reaction. Lions are winning. Gets the Chiefs. Everyone's going to be super happy about that, right? Yeah, kind of. But, I don't like that it did take some shenanigans from the team. The Lions did have to engage in some fourth down trickery, but 7 points, 7 points, right? They then proceeded to drive the field. Gibbs looks good. Should have had a touchdown on that play, rookie, but you fell because you got excited. That's unfortunate, but the fact that that was very obviously going to be a touchdown if that didn't happen is why they drafted him where they did. Say Brown looks great. Josh Reynolds made some nice plays. Veteran Marvin Jones is coming back and making plays when his QB gets in some trouble. These are all of the things that we expected, but I think looking at this so far, a lack of that deep threat at the receiver position has definitely kind of shown up on tape. Defensively, there's a whole bunch of guys doing some pretty decent things in the first quarter here. Hutchinson looks better than he did last year. That's no question, no doubt. He is everywhere. He gets the Roy Kent chant so far in the first quarter. They're playing a lot of Pascal in the defensive tackle spot, which he's a little bigger this year than he was last year. Long-term all season, I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but they've also been playing Levi Onwuzurike a lot of snaps. Seen a lot of Benito Jones. More than I ever expected. Thanks to my dog for drinking behind me right there. Yeah, Jack Campbell has looked good. He's been in the right place at the right time whenever he's been on the screen. As far as the defensive backs go, I've been seeing a lot more Brian Branch than I necessarily expected, but that's not a bad thing. That's the Lions have done a pretty good job of stopping the run out of a dime formation, and that is what they needed to do well in this game. See you at halftime. Welcome to halftime. A little bit different vibe at the half after the Lions, are down now 14-7. After, red zone fumble, 14-point swing. That's part of the game of football. It's a thing that's going to happen. Regardless of the outcome, that was a very questionable play to be calling at any point in any game when you're calling a bubble screen to Marvin Jones, who is probably the least dangerous player on the Lions roster with that particular type of play. Maybe 25-year-old Marvin Jones runs that, but the Lions don't have 25-year-old Marvin Jones. They have, what is he, 31? I didn't look it up and I don't remember. Basically, why are you doing that to that guy ever? Questionable. With that said, Brian Branch has looked good. Yeah, Jack Campbell still making plays in the right spots, doing his thing. Lions DBs are not in sync at all in this. This is one standard deviation from correct in far too many cases. You can just see CJ Gardner-Johnson out there does not feel like he knows where he's supposed to be far too often. And guys are getting hands on balls and not catching them. And that's a tragedy against Mahomes. That there's a play, long bomb, CJ Gardner-Johnson got his hand on the ball. And well, he would have got his hand on the ball if he'd actually tried to. Instead, he went for the hit, went to play the man, lost a turnover opportunity, and was beating himself up after that immediately. Jerry Jacobs took a ball in the hands. That was a reception. Which Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a good receiver. He's a veteran guy. He's going to make some plays. That's just the way this is going to go. The other team are professionals too. There was a guy in our Slack chat beaking off about how Patrick Mahomes was nothing without Travis Kelce. That's very obviously just not correct. And you know who you are and you know how wrong you are right now. The surprising thing about the first half is that the Kansas City receivers are not actually terrible. That's not a lot of talk about those guys in my writings for what would have been the morning of the game daily DLP. That's a thing I was going to talk about if I hadn't come down with a horrifying, debilitating illness. Yeah, and basically they've got a whole bunch of guys in that. Like I'd say they probably have 4 guys better than Josh Reynolds. It's a decent receiver group. There's just no studs. What else is there to say about this? Honestly, not much at halftime. That's a huge bummer that they were so, like, red zone turnovers kill you. And that's the story of the second quarter. You see, after the third. So, third quarter, highs and lows from the same guy. That pick 6 is why the Lions drafted Brian Branch. That man was on his way to end the good day of that wide receiver when instead he found himself in the curious position of having the ball in his hands. Great job by the rookie taking that for 6 points. The non-contact injury at the end of the third quarter, I guess we'll see whether that ends up being anything other than a calf cramp. Hopefully not. That's the area they were working. We can all just hope that that's not that big a deal. The interesting thing was that Will Harris was in, not Tracy Walker. Interesting choice there. But it is what it is. The Lions offense, where did you go? Which, that's the song I'm singing right now. Like, where did you go, my lovely? Do, 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 do. I'm not going to keep going with that. You get the idea. They've really done nothing since sometime in the first quarter. The yardage stats look okay. Like, there was a certain point in the third quarter where I was in our Slack chat going, hey guys, like, maybe we need to ratchet down the expectations a little bit here. Goff is on pace right now at this second for 4,400 yards passing this year. It's not like they have 50 yards and are getting dominated. They're just not stringing together enough consecutive plays to get drives, to get first downs. And I'm just going to say it. The refs are only calling penalties on the Lions today for whatever reason. I mean, Hutchinson takes a knee in the chest. That's not a penalty. And then a running back who's lying on his back doesn't retract his legs manually, and that's a tripping call. Then maybe don't try to jump over him. Like, he's just taking up space, man. But yeah, had some people online somewhere basically complaining about the Sutton pass interference, but that's the most obvious call I think I've seen in a very long time. He just ran into the guy in the back. But is what it is. On to the fourth quarter. Lions win! Lions win!
Let's bring it in here together. Let's go. Come on, baby. Lions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
You've had enough of that shit.